You came back. Welcome back. All right. Let's do this. Roll the intro. Welcome to episode 2 of Licks, Tips, and Tricks. Apparently what I did in the first video was enough to keep you guys interested to come back for more, so I thank you very much for that. Before we get started though, this ain't happening here. Let me go ahead and get that taken care of. Really? You gotta be kidding me. Hate it when this happens. Let's try that one more time. That's better. Alright. I hate it when that doesn't work. So, for episode 2, I got an opportunity to catch up with Mr. Stephen Brewer.
Ding, ding, ding! What do we have for her, Johnny?
Before we get to that, we're going to touch base with Alex from the NAMM show. That way he can tell you about what EMG's got up their sleeve for the new year. Take a look.
Alright, I'm Alex here with EMG Pickups at NAMM 2019. We're kind of trying to get into the passive market a little bit more than we had previously. So we've released 2 signature passive sets this year. Here's this one. Large white one you're seeing right here, the Revelation Prashant Aswani set. And that's an Alnico 2 kind of vintage voiced humbucker. Very articulate though, if you've ever heard Prashant play, he's a very articulate player, so we definitely shot for good articulation, but with enough sponginess to give it that vintage feel. And then the other one you're gonna see right up here, that is the Lars Fredriksson set, the DMF, and that's a ceramic bridge pickup with a Alnico 5 neck pickup, very punchy, probably medium to high output. He's in Rancid, so you know, a punk guy, so you know you need some punch to it. So that's what we delivered with that set. On the bass realm, we got 3 signature passive or active sets, excuse me. One for Frank Bello, which is a PJ set in red, an X series preamp, so you're gonna get extra headroom and dynamic response. And then you got the Tom Araya one, which is 2 soap bars for 4-string. One of the soap bars is a J inside of a soap bar cap, and the other one is a high output humbucker, the 35 DC, which is ceramic, very aggressive humbucker. And then lastly, we have the David Ellefson set, which is the 35 DC and the 35 CS, both very aggressive metal humbuckers for bass, and that's actually available in 4 and 5-string models in black. So that's what's new for this year with EMG.
So getting into this week's episode of Licks, Tips, and Tricks, we're catching up with ESP guitar artist Stephen Brewer, who's currently working on a new project that we're going to be keeping under wraps for the time being, but he's got some great points to talk about when it comes to being an artist, being a musician, and being a guitar player. Have a look.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you for coming down. All right, now, for those of you that don't know, Stephen is an amazing guitar player based out here in Los Angeles. He's worked with groups like Westfield Massacre. He's working on some other stuff that we're not allowed to talk about right now, but you're definitely going to want to take a look at that at some point. So I'm going to tell you right now, go follow, like, subscribe to whatever he's got going on. Also, Stephen has worked for many years as a guitar instructor, not just here in Los Angeles, but utilizing the internet.
Totally.
Stephen, let me ask you, the biggest thing that I've always run into when I'm working with somebody new is trying to understand what their end game is, trying to figure out what it is that their plan is for their art, because I figure if I have a better understanding of where they're going, I can help guide them to where they want to get to. What is your biggest difficulty to identify with your students?
Obviously, you have to see what someone's already doing. If they're already doing the wiggity-woo shredding, cool, they got that down. So they say, hey, cool, can you show me a major scale? Well, like, do you know what you're doing? Because you're running everywhere, but do you know what you're doing? So that's one thing I ask them. Or if someone's a beginner, I'll say, hey, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a shredder? Do you want to play songs for fun? I mean, like, what kind of music do you listen to? So like some kids just want to do, some kids just want to learn that stuff, or someone's like, hey, they're like, hey, what's that one Metallica riff? You show them that. You don't have that many people who are like, hey, show me that E minor 7, flat 5. That you don't get that a lot, right? The thing is too, and I also take lessons. And myself, I've actually been jamming recently with Monty Pittman, who's played for Madonna, and he's a Metal Blade Records artist. So no matter what happens, keep taking lessons. There is no in-game in guitar. I think that's what should really get us at. There's no, hey, cool, I got this good, I'm done, and you put the guitar away. It's because if you play guitar, it's just like a hobby. Cool, I understand that. Like, hey, cool, I learned that one really difficult chord. But for true guitar players and people who are lifers, as myself, Johnny, and all of our peers and friends, we're like, hey, there's always something to learn.
Always.
Always.
Now, a big question that I've gotten asked a lot from the students that I've worked with was, what was the one thing that opened up all of it for you? What was like, because everybody's looking for the shortcut. And the truth of the matter is there's really no shortcuts when it comes to working and getting the instrument understood completely. There are no shortcuts. It's going to take time. You're going to have to put your 10,000 hours in. It doesn't matter if you're doing that with a guitar, a drum set, a bass, vocals. If you're doing it, you got to put the time in. But there are certain ways of doing things and certain things that you can do. They're going to make getting from point A to point B a little bit more comfortable. Good case in point, okay, is picking technique. There's a few guys out there that really bend this rule to its absolute max. One of them that I have to point out has always been Marty Friedman. Oh, yeah. The way his right hand curls
it's like hooked. It's like hooked under. I mean, like even when he plays rhythm, he would go like.
Yeah, it's like he's like almost reversed, and he's going like that.
But he's doing something right at least.
Yeah, I mean
clearly he's doing something right.
He's an amazing player. Always has been an amazing player, but something that must have been a challenge for him when he was first starting off was making that work for himself. So he probably had to work a little bit harder with his right hand, which in the long run it will pay off because you're putting in all that extra effort. You're going to have more control.
Totally.
But to that same testament, understanding how to place your pick, understanding how to access more comfort than being uncomfortable. If you feel like you're doing something that's like, it just doesn't feel right, then you may not be doing something right. Maybe look into it and see about what other options there are, different ways of doing it. And I think something that really opened up my playing specifically for what I was trying to achieve was the cage system.
Totally, yeah.
Because the whole idea of doing scales and modes and interchange, all of it, when you first start looking at it, if you're looking at tablature, if you're looking at sheet music, it just starts to look like a bunch of dots and numbers, and you're just kind of like, how does this all connect? So the cage system is very simple. It's exactly what it sounds like. You're using your C chord, your A chord, your G chord, your E chord, and your D chord. And I'm not going to dive into the whole thing of it right now, but understanding how that correlated by utilizing the shapes of those chord structures for C, for A, for G, for E, and then for D. I just did that all in C major, but I got all the way up the fretboard. That was one really eye-opening thing for me as a musician that just kind of let everything else start connecting. So if I could give you a tip for the week, it would be understand your chords, learn what the root of each chord is, and start working on the cage system. There's lots of videos out there that'll show it, but that's one that was for me, opened up everything. For you, what do you think was that one trick that was just like, wow, fuck, there it is?
I want to touch base on what you just said, really, is because, so when you're reading tablature, or music, or mostly tabs, is that like, you'll see some, okay, cool, so the person's going, and the important thing is too is that like learning the fretboard, instead of you saying, hey, cool, 8 5 8 5 7 5, you can say, hey, cool, he's doing some A minor. He's like, cool, so you can see what they're doing, so you're not necessarily just like zeroing in on every single little number, right? So like if you say, hey, cool, this next part is just like an E minor run, okay, cool, so learning the fretboard, cool, where's the E minor? I can play it here. As you said, the cage system, you can play it anywhere. So you're like, cool, E minor here, or here, or you can play here. Whatever you got to do, right? Or it's important.
Exactly.
It's important.
Yeah.
And I have my brain farts like we all do.
Oh, yeah,
I'm like, what's going on?
And that's another thing. Never be afraid to make your mistakes.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, anybody that knows me personally or knows my musical taste that's been around me, I am not biggest Jimi Hendrix fan. And I know as a guitar player, that's absolutely shameful. I get it. I'm not mad at it. The point that I'm getting at here is Jimi Hendrix had the one factor that most guitar players now specifically, I feel, have gotten so far away from, that I hope it comes back, is he didn't give a fuck. He just went for it. He went for what it felt right. And if he landed on the wrong note, he bent it up until he got to where he wanted it to be. And that is what this is about. It's not about playing perfect every time. It's not about doing everything
have fun.
Yeah,
have fun.
You have to have fun with it, and you have to be unafraid to make the mistakes. And that's a good rule for not just music, but for life.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make the mistakes.
Have fun.
Always push yourself beyond your own expectations, because you'll never find out how far you can go until you push it.
Yeah, stay inspired.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a very difficult task, I think, sometimes. I think one thing that we have to do as people, not only as musicians, but just as individuals, is staying inspired with what we're doing. Because, I mean, like, you know, you could try to learn a new song, or try to promote your band, or try to do anything, and if it doesn't really work out, like, okay, crap, cool. But you never know how close you are. Look, the worst thing that can happen is you fail. But if you don't try, then you've already failed.
Perfect example.
So, stay inspired, have fun, play guitar.
Thank you guys again for watching Licks, Tips, and Tricks. I'm going to be giving you a new episode each week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. That way you can go about your day with something new to work on. Now, I know we didn't get into playing too much this week. It's not always going to be about that. We're going to dive into different things. We're going to dive into everything that we can dive into. But as long as you're here, you'll learn, you'll see, you'll enjoy. At least that's what I hope. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week. Okay. Sleeves up or sleeves down. Welcome to... You're wearing fucking Deadpool onesie in your videos and you're expecting people to take you serious. What's up, guys, and welcome back to episode 2 of Licks, Tips, and Tricks. God damn it.